Hey guys, and welcome to another Blender tutorial. So this is going to be part one of a 3-part tutorial series that I'm doing, showing you how I make concept art in Blender using free assets from Sketchfab. So you can see here, this is the final result of what we're going to be making in this tutorial series. And it's just some cool random art piece. I think it looks pretty cool. This is not a beginner's tutorial, so this is for people who already know a thing or two about Blender. I'm not going to go into all the details of how to use every little tool. You kind of already have to understand it. But if you already have a basic understanding of Blender, you should be okay. And we are also going to be doing some final compositing in Adobe Photoshop as well, so I do need to mention that. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this. I will be putting the Photoshop and the Blender files on Patreon if you guys want to check that out in the description below. And we will be using completely free resources as well. So pretty much the only paid thing here is Photoshop. But you can also use GIMP if you really have to. So let's get started, and I hope you guys enjoy. So what we're going to be doing now is getting some of our initial assets. Now what I'd recommend is that on your desktop or your computer, you go ahead and create a new folder. And inside that folder is where we're going to be doing our work. So let's just call it project. You guys can call it whatever you want, but inside of that project folder, what you're going to do is you're going to go and create a folder, and you're just going to call it texture. Okay, so just have or just textures even, because we're going to do multiple textures. That's where we're going to be putting a lot of the textures from the assets that we're going to be downloading. So if that's said, let's go to the internet, and there are going to be two initial assets that you want to download. So the first one is this tank over here. This is on Sketchfab, and you're just going to go, the link is in the description by the way. So you're going to go and download 3D model, and then you're going to go with the FBX over here. And then there's another one also in the link below. And by the way, credit to these authors here. But you also can go and 3D model here that you can download, click on it. And in this case, the option here is an OBJ, so go for that. And once they're done downloading, you're going to go to wherever those downloads are on your computer. And you can take those two zip folders and just extract them. And what I'm going to do once those are finished is I'm just going to take them, I'm going to drag them onto my desktop. And at this point, that project folder, what I'm going to do is drag them inside of there. And let's open up the first one, which is the Carnotaurus, and let's go look for the textures. So there are the textures. We're going to take those textures and let's just rename them to Carno, what I'm going to call it. And let's just take that and copy it, and then go back and go to that textures folder and just paste it inside of there. And let's do the same thing with the tank as well. Let's just grab the texture for the tank there and rename it to tank. Copy that, and let's put it in that textures folder as well. So now we have the textures for those two assets, and let's just actually take the models themselves. So go into the Carno folder and just get the source. Go to the source, and you may have to extract the source as well. And inside of that file, there should be an OBJ or an FBX. So let's have a look at the properties. Okay, so that's the OBJ. So I'm just going to take that and just drag it onto the desktop or somewhere on the computer. And then the same thing with that tank. I'm going to go to that tank folder, go to its source, and just extract that folder, open that up, and get the model inside of there, so the tank. So that should be the FBX right there. And now what we're going to do, that we have our textures somewhere. So we can actually get rid of these two folders here inside of there. We now have our textures inside of our project folder. You can see them in there, and we have the two models, the OBJ and the FBX. So now that we have that in place, we can open up Blender, and inside of Blender we're just going to select all of the default objects, press X and delete. Then we're going to go file, and then you're going to go to import, and let's go with the FBX first. Go to the desktop wherever you place that, and here you can see there should be a tank FBX, and go import FBX, and there it is. And let's just press M, new collection, and let's just put it on its own collection. Press OK. And then untick it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go file, we're going to go import, and let's go to the OBJ, go to our desktop, and let's just get that Carno model there, which is an untitled file. In this case, we're going to go import OBJ, and there we have the Carno here, which is quite a dense mesh. We're going to deal with that a little bit later on, but for now with this guy, let's just press M, go new collection, let's just call that Carno. Okay, so what we have now essentially is just our two collections here where we have our tank and our Carno. So what we're going to do next is just kind of stage them roughly, pose them, and put a camera in the scene, and just get our foundation, just a concept in place, and from there we're going to build the environment kind of around it. And by the way, just make sure to go File, Save As, and then go to your desktop. Make sure to get that project folder and just save it in there. I'm just going to call mine Project 1 and then go Save As. Okay, so let's start by adding in a camera. We're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to our camera options, add in a camera. The camera is active, so if you press 0, you can go to camera view and then go G, middle mouse button, and just zoom out. So what we're also going to do for now is we're just going to go to our render settings, and let's just make it cycles just to start with. We're not doing any rendering at the moment, and if you want to, just set it to GPU as well. But let's go to our output, and let's just go with 2200 at the top, and we'll leave the bottom at 1080. Just gives us a nice wide camera. We're going to go G, Z, and move it up a little bit. So the thing we want to do here is we really want a bit of a sense of scale. And one thing that can break that in some cases is there are a lot of exceptions, but generally if you have the camera too high, it can make you feel a bit bigger than the subject. Because we want a bit of awe, a little bit of scale, what we're going to do, we're going to keep this camera quite low. In fact, let's just think about it. So if we go Shift A and let's just add in a cube. The cube here in Blender is 2 meters tall. So let's just move it up to the ground. So almost like the height of the tank would be about the height of an average person. So let's just take that camera and let's just keep it at about that height. Okay, so it's going to be about here. And now if we go back into the camera view, let's just go R. So tap R twice while you got the camera active and you're in camera view, and just kind of take the camera up a little bit like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our camera settings and let's give this a focal length of 120. And if that camera still active, we're going to go G, middle mouse button, and just move back. So I'm just scrolling my mouse and let's move back like that. Okay, got a nice shot like that. Looks pretty cool. And okay, so in this case, our camera has gone down a bit. I'll just move it up again to about the right height. Okay, so this can always be a little bit finicky, but just get something like that. And we don't want the T-Rex right in the middle. Kind of want it off to the side a little bit, like that. And let's take this tank, the model, and let's just go G, and let's go Y, and move it down like this. Don't worry about the textures or anything like that. Now, we will get to that, but we're just moving our tank and our T-Rex and posing things like that. So let's take this rock, get rid of that. And with our T-Rex here, it's a little bit dense, so let's just go to our modifiers, give it a decimate, and let's just take that ratio to 0.3. Yes, now it's less dense, and what we're also going to have to do later on is probably pose it, but for now, just grab anything that makes up the T-Rex and just rotate it a little bit. And for now, I know this is kind of not exactly right, but just to give us an idea, we're just going to do that. Okay, so that's looking okay. So now we have our tank and our T-Rex there. What we're going to do is we're going to go Shift A, add in a plane, scale it up, and then go S, Y, and scale it along to Y. Now we have a floor here. And let's just go and grab this edge select option in edit mode. And let's just go Shift D to duplicate that edge. And then in our right or front orthographic view, we're going to go E to extrude. And just bring something down like this, and then E to extrude it out. So this is kind of like they're almost on a hill here, on a road. And then down here we might add some details later and a background over here. But you kind of get the idea of what we're doing here. So let's just scale that all on the Y just a little bit more. Okay, cool. So now we kind of have a nice pose happening here. And yeah, like I said, don't worry too much about the background or anything like that just yet. I think what we could probably do now is just quickly add the material, or the textures. Now we're not doing anything with the shaders really, just adding in the texture. So let's select the dinosaur and let's just go to our shading workspace. And in fact, let's just click on the materials tab here. Now this T-Rex has a lot of things added to it. It comes with a whole bunch of materials. So let's just go to the body and let's just go to the base color here and go image texture and then go open. And then let's go into that folder in the projects. Go to that car node texture and let's just get the body base color. Click on that. And now if we press Z and we go material preview, we should be able to see that. Okay, that's pretty cool. We can select the tongue as well. Go to the base color, image texture, go open, go to the textures, go to car node, and let's look for the tongue. Okay, so here's the base color for the tongue. Go open, and let's just grab the horns. I think this is Okay, that's material is attached to the dinosaur. So let's just click on horns and base color. Let's go image texture, go open, into textures, go to Carno, and let's just do the horns. So let's find the horns. Okay, here is the horn base color. And there's also one for the all of these other body parts. I'm going to go and just time lapse this quickly. I'm just going to go for each one of these. Okay, there you have it. So I've just added all of those textures there. And if it's tank, we're going to do the exact same thing. So that already comes with its own material or shader. Let's just call that tank. And let's just get rid of these nodes that come with it. And let's just go to our base color here. Click on it. Let's just give that an image texture. Go open, and let's go into the textures. And this time we're going to go to the tank. And then just get the base color, the albedo for the tank. And it's got this kind of weird thing going on here with the shader. So let's just get rid of that principled. Go Shift A, search, and just type in principled and get a new principled. Plug the color into the base color and this one into the surface. Okay, that's a lot better. So now we at least have the textures. We're not going to worry about anything like the normal maps or anything for now. But you can kind of see what's happening here. We have a cool idea, a cool concept emerging. I kind of like the scale of things here. It's pretty cool. So what we're going to be doing in part 2 is we're going to be adding in some more things into the scene and kind of fleshing out the story a little bit. So this is the main thing we're now going to be building around. So I'll see you guys in part 2.